Hey everybody, I'm going to share a little bit about my experience at an eating disorder treatment center. I'm going to touch on things I'd wish I'd known, my biggest challenges, why I discharged early, and the reason I'm grateful I went. As I mentioned in my first video, I managed 3 weeks in one day. The transition was incredibly difficult. I left the state for inpatient treatment and was overwhelmed with anxiety beforehand. So many questions and unknowns. What if I was the oldest patient? What if I'm the heaviest person? What are they going to make me eat? What if I don't like any of the food? I didn't want to leave my home, my bed, my OCD routines, my nighttime snacks, my pup and my husband. I was so anxious about stepping away from work. I was so invested. Even though they were completely supportive and told me I could take as much time as I needed, the thoughts still weighed on me. But I did feel I had the support I needed to take the next step. When I received the welcome packet, it was quite large. To be honest, it contained a lot of valuable information to help me feel prepared. It provided a breakdown of what a typical day would look like, with a daily schedule filled every hour from 8 a.m. in the morning until 8:30 at night. They also listed what to bring, what not to bring, and various other information that was helpful. Here are a few things I wish I had known beforehand. Don't overpack. Pack light. 90% of the time I was indoors, and if you're underweight like I was, you will be freezing. Bring sweaters and sweatpants. Most people of all ages wore the same thing every few days. If you are a person that likes makeup and cute outfits, you might disagree. I was able to do laundry at any time, so I kind of wore the same thing every other week. Some of the girls did like to dress up and change out outfits and wear makeup because that just helped them feel more like themselves. If that sounds like you, then make sure you bring it. You need to do what's best for your recovery. Also, bring baggy clothes. I went to a consignment shop beforehand and bought oversized sweatpants, oversized sweatshirts, t-shirts, and I was grateful I did. Bring activity books. I was extremely overwhelmed. Although I do love reading, I had a hard time concentrating on a single book. The daily schedule in the welcome packet was the daily schedule. We were in programming or in meetings with clinical staff from 8 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. every single day. As an introvert, that was tough and one of the main reasons I couldn't stick it out. There wasn't much in terms of entertainment, nor was there really any time for it either. So any downtime I did have, I'd work on an activity book or journal. Everyone had a journal and everyone had a water bottle. The community I was in consisted of maybe around 20 people. I can't recall the exact number. It was mostly made up of teenage girls, a few women in their 20s, and about 6 women aged 40 to 60 plus. People were at all different stages of their recovery, so individuals would come and go often depending on where they were in the process. By the time I left, there were only 3 or 4 of us over the age of 40. It was really challenging being surrounded mainly by adolescents. This brings me to programming. It made sense that it had to be broad enough to accommodate all age groups, but I often felt too mature for most of it. Despite not being particularly excited about programming, I made it a point to learn as much as I could and remind myself why I was there. I needed to do whatever it took to get healthy, but also get out of there as fast as possible. I followed every rule and ate everything. The interesting part is that the food was the easiest thing about treatment. The hardest part was facing and overcoming countless fears that my OCD kept throwing at me. Now let me tell you the positives of residential treatment. These are important. The 24/7 support. As a 40-plus-year-old, I still needed support while recovering, and I still do. I could not have made it this far without it. Also, eating. Giving myself permission to eat was freeing. It was kind of exciting, terrifying, but also fun. I got to try foods I hadn't had since I was a kid. Trust me, the fear was intense, but I had to push myself. This is what I came to do. The people. Honestly, I'm an introvert, but no matter how introverted you are, you still end up forming strong connections. We were all suffering from some form of an eating disorder, and we genuinely wanted the best for each other. Lastly, you're really stretching yourself. You learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You learn to lean in, whether you want to or not, and the outcome is truly worth it. You begin to rewire your brain so you're no longer afraid to eat dessert after dinner. You eat your fear foods, and you're not as afraid of the foods you thought you would never eat again. You can change your behaviors, and you do. Now, here is why I checked myself out. I don't want to go into specifics about my weight. Maybe this is something I can touch on in a future video, but I was significantly underweight when I had arrived, and I had a long way to go before I hit my set point weight. And I told myself, that's the key phrase here, that there was no way I could stay that long. I just couldn't do it. The main reasons are sleep. I could not sleep. We were in programming until 8:30 p.m. I believe the lights out were like 9 or 10. I'd usually fall asleep around 10 p.m. and I would be awake by 2 a.m. at the latest every single day. I couldn't take it. This lasted the entire time I was there. Lastly, I felt like I stuck it out long enough. I was committed to continue with outpatient virtual treatment, which I did. And when my husband came to get me and drove me home from the airport, it was dinner time. When I walked through our doors, I so badly wanted to just reach for my safe foods. I cannot tell you how difficult it was for me to say to Ryan, "Do you want to get a pizza?" And we did. And so my successful outpatient treatment continued on from there. Now, what would I recommend? Get support if you can. Before choosing a treatment center, I did my research. I sought recommendations from my therapist, contacted local centers, read online reviews. Initially, I was only interested in virtual options. I ultimately chose the facility I attended because they were the only ones who actually called me back and gave me a chance. If you can explore different treatment centers, ask them to send you their welcome packet. This will give you insight into what to expect. I also recommend speaking with the program director. This way you can learn about their community and ask every single question you have. This was instrumental in helping me with my fears and to get me to treatment. If an eating disorder treatment center doesn't seem like the right fit for you, you could investigate working with an eating disorder coach. Many coaches have personally recovered and are dedicated to helping others do the same. I worked with a coach for a while, but I just knew I needed accountability 24/7, and the coach at the time could not provide that. Another major motivator for me has been listening to podcasts, reading books, doing research. While it hasn't taken me all the way to recovery yet, it's definitely keeping me in the right direction. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Be sure to keep watching my videos. I hope to keep inspiring and educating you along the way. And hopefully my pup did not drive you crazy. Thank you so much.